Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth. Today we are setting up my son's custom bullet journal with a Final Fantasy XIV Astrologian theme. Let's go ahead and get started. So June is Kenny's birthday month, and for his birthday he wanted a special setup centered around his Final Fantasy XIV character, Karun. I am no Final Fantasy expert, and I also draw the line at trying to recreate these kinds of special things by hand. So we created some printables, and I mainly had Kenny take some screenshots in game against a light background so that I could then remove the background in Canva. And then to add to these printables, I've added just some basic space type scenery to go along with the Astrologian theme. I'm going to use these in a scrapbook style, so they are printed just on regular printer paper while the other printables are on sticker paper. And then I have a lot of other things around me. I have some washi tape, I have some round stickers, I have some things that I picked up in my Temu haul, which was a couple videos ago. I'll link that down below for you. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and tuck these off to the side so we can go ahead and get started on our cover page. The first thing you're going to notice is that this is a completely blank page. I haven't sketched anything on here because we are doing the scrapbook style. It's really going to be about trial and error and placing pieces where I think that I want them to go before sticking them in permanently. Not including prep time, creating stickers in Canva and that sort of thing, this entire setup took me about 2.5 hours, and I probably edited out about an hour of indecision. I also printed the stickers on clear matte label paper, full sheet label paper. If you don't like that some things are going to show through those clear areas, you could definitely do this on regular white label paper or even just white printer paper, and then use a glue stick or roller to stick them in. I use a Tombow tape runner, which will be linked in the description box below, along with the rest of the supplies. With space scenes in two of the corners, I'm now just maneuvering things around the page, trying to figure out where I want to put them, having a little tea break while I think. I'm just trying to give myself a little bit of a roadmap before I start taking off the backing and sticking things down on the page. So when Kenny decided he wanted this setup, there were a lot of different ways we could have taken this decision or how we wanted to set this up, and I decided to focus on the character's job category, which is Astrologian or a healer. It really just helped solidify a design focus when there was so much other stuff in Final Fantasy we could have picked from. This narrowed it down to the stars, the tarot cards, the color palette that goes along with that. Just made it a little bit easier to design. So an Astrologian uses a combination of divination cards and the stars to heal and support their allies when they're in battle. Kenny has a physical set of those divination cards. I'm using them to decorate up in the top right corner, and then I actually used them to create the stickers in this setup because I couldn't find pictures of those that I liked very much online. So we just scanned these and I cropped them in order to make them the stickers. Finish off the cover page, I added some stars in both gold and silver gel pen just to fill in a little bit of the white space and also bring everything a little bit more together. I do wish I had made the printable of Kenny's particular character just a little bit bigger so that it could balance out the page a little bit more, but this is what we had to work with. It's down on the page, really don't mind it at all, and again you can see with these clear stickers that you can kind of see that background through the character. Okay, moving on to the calendar setup, and for a lot of the line work in this particular setup, I'm going to be using a blue Pigma Micron instead of a black one, just to hold with our sort of bluish and purple color palette. To highlight every line of the week, I'm going to use an N60 Tombow dual brush pen. This comes in the monochrome set, and it actually has a slightly purple hue to it instead of just gray. I thought it would be fun to use those divination cards for the weekly headers, so in Canva I uploaded the back side of the divination card and then put the Monday through Sunday headers on top of those. For those familiar with my reading journal content, I actually used my small book covers template to drop these cards into, so I knew exactly what size they were going to be when it came time to put them on the page. I'll go ahead and link that free template that you can pick up from Canva yourself down below in the description box. This little moon sticker is simply covering up a gap where I started numbering that line wrong, so instead of covering up that 5, I just left the empty space and decided to put a sticker there instead. For the rest of the decoration, decoration on the page. It's really just about moving things around again, trying to figure out what works best. This particular paper, I believe, came out of my Temu haul. Again, that'll be linked below. And then I had already pre-planned to put this sticker of Karun down here in this corner as well. The astrological looking circle stickers that I have been using also came from my Temu haul. Now the fun thing with this was trying to pick out the stickers that were going to give us the feel of an astrologian without screaming that this was the real world sky or the real world planetary system. So we kind of picked through those that we felt like were going to fit the theme. I felt like something was still lacking on the page and decided to add in a little bit of a gold border, and this is going to become a standard on subsequent pages as well. It really just does tie it together. I also felt like that fourth week was being blocked just a little too much by this sticker, and I decided to shift it down just a little bit. I only moved it down by about a dot grid space and a half, but it gives those last few days of that week a little more space. And that will be it for the calendar page. And this pretty much came out how I envisioned it. Again, when you're doing the scrapbook style, you're just kind of playing with the elements and figuring out where they need to go. But let's go ahead and move on to Kenny's notes page as well as his finance or spending tracker. This has become a standard spread for him, so we're just going to keep setting it up the way that it works for him unless he asks me to change it. So on the left, we have a spending tracker where he can mark the date, the item, the amount, and then whether that item was a need or a want. He also has space to mark down his beginning and ending balances for the month in both checking and savings, as well as spaces for him to mark down his take-home pay for each of his paydays in the month. Now this is the page that I forgot to make any character specific or game specific printables beyond the headers, and it kind of shows, but we just decided to decorate this with some of the space imagery as well as the stickers. It still ties in with the vibe and yet leaves enough space for the page to be functional. And to finish things off, I just added in that gold border, added some gold sparkle stars to it as well, and that will be the setup for his finance tracker, spending tracker, as well as his notes page. And we're ready to move on to the weeklies. Now, if you have watched Kenny's prior setup or even my monthly setup for June, this is going to look familiar. This setup allows for 2 weeks per spread, one on the left and one on the right, as well as space for a task list. And we have gone ahead and put in some of our defining lines, defining structure, so that we can then just decorate around it. We set up this structure for Kenny for the first time last month in May, and then I liked it so much that I went ahead and set up my bullet journal for June with the same setup. For decoration, I'm going to begin by tearing some space-themed washi tape and framing both sides of the page. And then I have tons of these circle stickers that I am going to use for my daily headers, and we're not going to make these super matchy-matchy. I'm just going to go through the sheets and pull out the ones that match the colors of our washi tape. So the blues, the purples, a little bit of the pinks. With those in place, we're going to go ahead and put in our Monday through Sunday headers on each page and then decorate with our stickers. So for the weeklies, I decided I wanted to add the front side of the divination cards, and to do that, again, I scanned them and then created a sticker out of them. This sticker size is also from my book template. It's from the larger book template size. So again, I knew exactly how much space they were going to take up on the page. To finish things off, I'm adding in that gold border, but in order to write on our circle stickers, I am going to use this Pen Touch gold paint pen because these are laminated and we want to make sure that that doesn't rub off. Because I'm using it on top of the sticker, it's not going to bleed through the paper and it dries relatively quickly, which I like. I almost forgot to find a space to squeak in this week 24 header, but we're just going to stick it right over top of this divination card, and that'll be it for weeks 23 and weeks 24. I like the consistency of having very similar weeklies within a month, and Kenny does too, so we are just going to go ahead and do like it says on the back of a shampoo bottle, and that's lather, rinse, repeat. To this pre-planned structure, I'm going to go ahead and add our borders as well as our circle stickers. Following that, I'll go ahead and put in the Monday through Sunday headers on each one of our daily boxes and go ahead and number them with the gold paint pen as well. After that, we're going to add in some more of the divination card decorations. Now there are 8 divination cards. I've used 3 on each one of these weeklies. I used 1 on the cover page, and then we have a 5th week in June, so on the next page I will use the 8th one. Now here I decided I wanted to highlight my weeks as well as my headers, and I chose to highlight the weeks that same grayish purple color. I totally could have introduced a different color here. In fact, I probably should have, but I didn't want to reach for another marker and I already had that one close by. But again, June does have 5 weeks, so we need to lather, rinse, repeat one more time and set up this 5th week, which has all of the same repeating elements, but room for only one of the divination cards. And if you're not a fan of the same weekly structure week after week after week, you could certainly take the same elements, the same printables, just rearrange them on the page and make things look a little bit different. On the right side of this spread, I'm adding in Kenny's playlist. I decided to go ahead and put in a big space scene here at the top. This month he'll have space for 5 songs, and below each one of those song spaces I am just putting in a little play bar using stencils that I have on hand. These are just basic shape stencils that came in a journal that I purchased ages ago. It was my very first bullet journal that came with some stencils in the back that had some shapes like circles and triangles and squares. I am coloring these in, and because this is a 0.05 and not a brush pen, it did take me a little longer to color in those pause and play buttons. And then to incorporate some more gold, I indicated the progression of each song with a small gold circle. And all we have left to do is stick in our playlist sticker. Normally in Kenny's journals, I like to have the playlist next to the reflection. Because we had that 5th week, it did rearrange things a little, but that's okay. That's going to give me space here on his last spread to put in a little bit of a splash page. First, I'm going to start with his reflection page. This little emblem I just found with a Google search for the Astrologian symbols, and then we're decorating it much like we have everything else with some space imagery and then the headers for his reflection. And then I'm going to use the same highlighter marker that I've been using to actually draw some ruled lines just to give the page a little bit more interest, fill in some of that white space. This is also another opportunity for me to tie back in some of those round celestial stickers as well as our gold border detail. And then for Kenny's birthday spreads, I always like to have a little something extra special. So here on the right side, like I said, we're going to do a splash page. For this, I designed a larger printable of his character looking upon the Final Fantasy night sky. Now this base image I used the Final Fantasy constellations I actually found on Twitter from Ivory Draws, so I will go ahead and link that Twitter account down below. Now you can probably tell that this printable did not go in straight or well, and we're just gonna have to live with it because it's not gonna come back up. The more I messed with it, the worse it became. So I finished things off with some stickers, put a little bit of a highlight with our purple down the right side of the printable, and then filled in a little bit of the torn edges with that same marker as well, just to make it blend into the image a little better. And I could do a flip through for you, in fact I did, but I thought it would be a little more fun as I was editing to have Kenny walk you through this setup himself. Since we're in June, he's already started using this, but y'all go ahead and welcome Kenny.
Hi everyone, it's me, it's Kenny, back again, making my second debut on Dots and Beyond, and this particular time I am going to be just doing a general flip through of my June theme. I don't know if Mom's given any explanation or not. So this month I wanted to do something a bit more special and a bit more, you know, larger, as I typically tend to do for my June themes, because June, if you don't know, is my birth month. I just like to make them special, you know. This particular June, I have gone for a Astrologian theme from Final Fantasy XIV. It is an MMO online RPG, and the Astrologian is one of the healer classes within the game that centers around, obviously, its own unique tarot and astrology style. So here on the cover page, we have character. His name is Karun. His main job is an astrologer, and he is a Hrothgar, which are a race of people who look a lot like, you know, lions, just bipedal. Here, Mom has placed, she has photocopied my cards that the astrologians use. And here we have the ewer, which is kind of apt because our astrology terms is more closely related with the element of water and the symbol of like the cups. So very emotional kind of being, but also in this particular instance would be much closely related to intellect and just the pouring of knowledge into the into the universe. And as a emotional intellectual, I do resonate with that idea. And here we have my monthly overview. Obviously, I have June 16th, my birthday, labeled. I do have to give Mom some credit here, which obviously I always do. I think we all do, in terms of her creativity about making the backs of the cards the days of the week. And this is, I think, the very first time that she and I have done a kind of scrapbooky style where she's just taken various images and things and done the outside borders for decoration, and also still getting Karun in there. He's a handsome boy. I like him a lot. I haven't filled this out too much because it's just the beginning of the month. So moving on, we have my spending log and my notes page. I'm trying to get better about using my notes page. However, over the past few months, I have gotten a lot better about tracking my spending and like where things are in terms of my paydays and my checkings and savings. It's really beneficial, actually, to be able to track these things. I've noticed I have been able to save my money a bit easier since doing this, or at least I'm spending less, I think is what it is. Just being very conscious and aware of the things that I am purchasing and whether they're a need or a want. And most of the time these days I'm just buying things that I need, like gas, and less things like snacks. I do like a good snack. I think we all do. Moving on to our first weekly, I think as of last month's setup, we have shifted me into a Alistair method kind of task list, which I have found to be much more effective for me and what I want to do with my journal, as not like a habit tracker, but just a tracker of the tasks that I want to complete in that week or that month. So we've minimized the amount of space that my dailies are taking up, because most of the time I'm only tracking my times that I'm working and maybe a couple of like special things to note just for that day. Otherwise, I really enjoy this and how this is helping me. And it's just good to be able to think, oh, I want to do that this week, and then kind of plop that day down. And then obviously I have my handy dandy key up here at the front to help me be able to migrate or just take note of what is happening with that. So obviously, like with this first task, I didn't do this thing on Monday, so I've just moved it over, and now that it's been a full week of June. That's crazy. Where does the time go? So I guess I've been very airheaded this particular week, and I haven't really tracked much of anything. So hopefully this week I'll be doing a lot better. So yes, I really do enjoy this Alistair method versus a more traditional bullet journal method, or what we were doing in the past, where it was just all of my dailies and I was expecting myself to track the things that I wanted to do that way. This is much more clear and it makes a lot more sense to me this way. Moving on to our second set of weeklies, just about the same. Taking note though of the first set of weeklies. And this one, here we have more of the photocopied cards here on the front. This card in particular, I would probably say is my favorite one. It is the Balance, representing kind of the more Libra-esque ideals of our world. Quite literally just balance. This card represents the sun. So its symbols are obviously the scales. This woman on the front is one of the goddesses. Her symbol happens to be like a feathery fan. Karun's patron goddess is actually this goddess. So I just have a very strong connection with that. She has very fabulous wings, very fabulous robes, very fiery. And here we have our final weekly for June, moving into July. And we have my playlist page that I have yet to start using, but I've already had quite a few songs on repeat this month that I will be filling into this. I was kind of waiting to maybe record this video before starting to write in the journal too in depth, so. And then we have my reflections page. We always have a very special page of just kind of the theme for June here at the end. Here he is, Karun and his weapon, looking out into the universe, which I think these are probably... Nope, no, yeah, this is his night sky, not ours. Oh wow, look at her. Thinks about every last detail. Yeah, I am very excited that she was willing to put in the time and the effort for this particular month. It was kind of a more out there idea conceptually. She always finds a way to make it happen, and I got to be a part of that process. There's a way to be able to take pictures in game, and so I was able to get her some of these shots that she was looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and kick it back to mom, you guys, but it has been a really nice time flipping through my June spread and setup with you guys. Hopefully I would like to come back and talk about maybe the journal as a whole and what's been going on with me and my habits and why we've shifted around some things and moving from a more just kind of daily to daily setup to the Alistair method, talk about what's working for me and what's not. So go ahead and let us know if maybe you'd like to see that kind of video. Until next time, bye guys.
Beth back here. I hope you enjoyed that little Kenny cameo. Make sure you wish him happy birthday in the comments below. After that, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you in the next one.